Could the Patriarch boss from Killing Floor 2 defeat George Ramero from Black Ops 1's Call of the Dead? Let's find out. The first thing to take into consideration is what exactly the two opponents are. The Patriarch is a giant mass of muscle, technology, brains, and weapons, while George is, he's a giant zombified George Romero. So that alone tips things heavily in the Patriarch's favor, as he's basically a self-designed weapon of mass destruction, and George is a giant zombie. Weapon-wise, the Patriarch has a crap ton of muscle to back melee attacks, a machine gun, a retracting tentacle in his chest that can be used to grab enemies, a rocket launcher, and a mortar, while George has a floodlight that he can swing around, although he can inflict electrical damage with it, and not just blunt attacks, and also ground slam attacks, which send out a somewhat weak electrical burst. This again puts the odds further into the Patriarch's favor, as George is pretty much limited to melee attacks unless he was to throw his floodlight, while the Patriarch has a minigun and two ranged explosive attacks. And just to be clear, this is a one-on-one fight, so the Patriarch has no Zeds to assist him, and George has no zombies to fight alongside him. Intelligence-wise, the Patriarch, originally Dr. Kevin Clamley, is a genius scientist, engineer, and inventor, while George is a zombie with slightly more intelligence than your average undead human, as he's capable of some degree of conversation. Once again, the odds are increased in Kevin's favor, as he can actually think and is very smart, and can make intelligent battle plans, while George's tactic is pretty much to just bum rush anything that hurts him. Discussing non-weaponized equipment, the Patriarch has 3 medical syringes used for healing and a cloaking device, while George has a pair of headphones. Mobility-wise, George might have issues if the fight was to take place in an area with a low ceiling due to his height, and while Kevin is maybe half George's height, he's a lot bulkier, so in a smaller room, he might have some issues maneuvering properly. So I'd say they're about matched in that regard, but I do think that Kevin is faster than George, even in George's rage mode. While both can absorb a lot of damage before dying, I do think George is more of a bullet sponge, which would be his only real advantage in the fight. But again, he's almost entirely limited to melee attacks. I'm not sure how much good this would do him, since Kevin could just chip away at his health from a distance. Overall, I have to give this one to the Patriarch. I just don't see any real outcome where George can win, as the Patriarch can just shoot him and run away to heal if things get a bit too hairy, in addition to being able to cloak himself and make it hard for George to even see him. And if in this hypothetical battle, the area they fought in happened to have water, that'd just make things even easier for Kevin, as he could prevent George from raging. And even if the Patriarch did happen to run out of ammo, he could just do hit and run melee attacks until George finally succumbed to his death. But what do you think? Is there some way you believe George could win? Tell me in the comments, and I mean no disrespect to the late George Ramero, who pretty much invented zombies as we know them. Anyways, thanks for watching, and for anyone new here, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other content if that sounds interesting. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much. Peace.